Having an accurate and reliable mapping of triads on the fingerboard is a very, very powerful thing. If you think about just bar chords, they're sort of stuck on the E and the A string. You can only play them there, right? If you think about cowboy chords, they're stuck at the open position. You can only play them there. Triads, these small three-note voicings, can express those chords as well as minor chords, diminished chords, augmented chords. You can even use them to proxy in for four-part chords like dominant 7, minor 7, major 7. But in order to have that kind of flexibility and maneuverability, you have to know where the root, the third, and the fifth are in these triads, because those are the notes that you have to alter to create other chords. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris. Today you will learn two methods to invert triads. And inverting triads is an exercise we're going to use to stay mindful of where the root, the third, and the 5 are, so we can take any triad we have in our vocabulary and change it into whatever chord we need. I'm going to show you two methods on how to do this. I'm going to explain how they work, then I'm going to show you those methods on the fretboard. We're going to invert triads across sets of strings, and then we're going to invert triads along a single set of strings. And I'm going to show you the method by which to do that. Each time we'll be very mindful of where that root, third, and fifth are. Before we get started, I just want to sort of expose what the value of this exercise is going to be. You should have some triadic capability at this point. If you don't, try out this video where I sort of explain and map all the major triads on the neck. That's sort of our starting point. But let's just say, for example, I've got all my G major triads in this one position. So you should recognize this as a G major bar chord. In each set of 3 strings, there's a full major triad there. Except for this one, you have to pull this note out here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 voicings for a G major chord. If I need a G minor chord, I'm faced with a task here. Do I have to learn every single one of those over again as a minor chord? And the answer is no. That's one way to do it, but that's the long road. The shortcut is, as long as I know where the root, the third, and the fifth are in each one of these chords, I can just change them into minor whenever I want to. Right? I've only had to learn one shape, but as long as I understand where the root, the third, and the fifth are, I can turn them into anything I need. Let me show you how it works. Okay, let's invert some triads. Now, if you don't have a lot of triadic capability, let me just explain, sort of review what a triad is really quickly. I'm going to take a 2-octave major scale. And I'm just going to number these notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. A major triad is the root, the third note, and the fifth note. I'm going to start on that 2nd octave here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't even have to complete the scale because I've got my first note, my third note, and my fifth note. If you look at a G major bar chord, that triad's sitting there right in the middle already. This is information you probably already have under your fingers. Okay, but I did show you a 2-octave major scale, and I only showed you the triad through 1 octave, just to sort of expose it to you. Here's the triad played through 2 octaves. Root, 3, 5, root, 3, 5, and then root again at the top. I'm going to put that on the screen. Root, 3, 5, root, 3, 5, root. So there's our major triad through 2 octaves. It actually encompasses 3 because it's got that root on the end, but there it is. Let's just take a moment and check this out. If you look at the order of these notes, they always happen in one specific way. The root is always followed by the third is always followed by the fifth, and the fifth is always followed by the root, and it starts over again. They always stack in this order. That's just how math works. Here they are, through 2 octaves. If we grab each set of these, in other words, here's the triad that starts with the root on the bottom as the lowest note. And then we grab this next one. Here's the one that starts with the third as the lowest note. And then we grab the last one. Here's the one that starts with the fifth as the lowest note. We've got our 3 permutations. This is just geometry. This is just the law of inversion and permutation. This is Pythagoras, like all the way back. These 3 notes in this order, they just take turns. Look at the root takes a turn on the bottom, on the top, and in the middle. And same with the third, same with the fifth. This is just how it is. They always occur in this order. So I'm going to leave those up here. I'm going to go back to that first triad we saw. And we're just going to investigate these inversions on a single set of strings, which is D, G, and B. Here's that first triad we exposed, which was root 3-5. This is our root position triad. It's the first one here. I'm just going to cut to the chase and show you the different chord shapes first. The next time this set of notes occurs on this set of strings looks like this. And the next time it occurs, it looks like this. Those are my G major triads on the D, G, and B string. Now, if we look at our inversions here on the screen, this first one is root 3-5. The root is the lowest note. On the next inversion, the root is the highest note. I'm going to take this G and I'm just going to take it up an octave. Now on that set of strings, D, G, and B, the root is now the highest note. That's our second inversion. Root 3-5. The root is on the top now. The third is on the bottom. I'm going to take the third up an octave because for our last inversion, the third needs to be on the top. When the third is on the top, fifth is on the bottom now, root's in the middle. Because they always follow this order. Now here's the real value. If I was going to build a minor chord, which is built like this right here, root flat 3-5, I would have to know where the thirds are so I could flat that third. In this root position, the third's in the middle. If I go up to that first inversion, the third's on the bottom. If I go up to that second inversion, the third is on the top now. I've just changed all of these into minor chords. I didn't have to learn 3 new chords. I took the chords that I already knew, the new formula that I needed, and I just changed them into that. I could do this for augmented chords, diminished chords, whatever chords I want, right? I don't have to learn a whole new library. I just have to understand what it is that I'm playing. Okay, I'm going to take the minor chord away. Now we're going to go across the string sets. This is a little more challenging to see, which is why I started with that first string set. In that 2-octave major scale, the first time I can actually play a triad on a single set of strings, it happens to be the first inversion. It's up here. And it's 3-5 root. So we have to start this pattern on the first inversion. We're going to cross 4 sets of 3 strings. Here's our first inversion, third on the bottom. We're going to use that same idea. For the next inversion, which is that second inversion, we have to take the third and stick it on the top. Keep the other 2 notes the same. Now we're at that second inversion, which is 5 root 3. 5 is on the bottom now. We're going to take it up an octave. Keep the other 2 notes the same. We're back to the root position triad, root 3-5. Take that root up an octave to the final string set, and now we're at 3-5 root. We're our second inversion. Now, if I want to make these minor chords, I don't have to learn 4 new chords. I just have to know where the third is. Here's our minor chord formula again. It's root flat 3, 5. This chord right here has the third on the bottom. I just have to flat that to make this a G minor chord. In my next inversion where the third is on the top, now I can see that with the third on the top, all I have to do is change that note, and I have a G minor chord here. Take that fifth, which is on the bottom, and take it to the top. Keep the other 2 notes the same. I can see now that the third is in the middle. There's my minor chord there. Take that root up an octave again. Now I'm on my first inversion again. Third's on the bottom. G minor again. So I didn't have to learn a bunch of new chords. I didn't have to learn a bunch of new minor chords, new shapes. I just took the shapes I knew and the formula that I needed, and I changed these all into minor chords. That's real power. That's real fretboard power. Now, this may be a little confusing, especially if you don't have a decent amount of triadic capability. You might have felt like you got lost here. Here's the great news. If you go back and you really do this and you really study this, you may do this once, twice, 3 times in your entire life, and you will have absolute command of any chord in any key on the neck ever. Like, this is the secret formula to being able to have complete freedom to play any chord you want wherever you need it. I promise you. Do this 3 times in your life, and that's it. It's a one and done. Once you get it, you will always have it. Well, there you go. 2 methods to invert triads. One across the sets of strings vertically, and one linearly down a set of strings. So you can see just by using octaves, it saves you the time of mapping all the minor chords to the fretboard, and then going back and mapping all the diminished chords to the fretboard, and then going back again and mapping all of the augmented chords. As long as you understand what the formula is for the chord you're looking for, and you know where the root, the third, and the 5 are, you can create any chord you want anywhere on the neck whenever you need it. It's very, very powerful, very freeing, right? It's massive chord freedom. It's chord freedom is what it is. Okay, I've tabbed all this stuff out. That's on my Patreon page. It's linked in the description below. Head on over there if you'd like the tabs, or if you'd like to join the discussion. Every time I post something here on YouTube, I also post the tabs on Patreon, and then we have a pretty lively discussion about that. So if you're curious, head on over there and join us. Any support over there is greatly appreciated. It fuels this whole thing. Stay curious to this stuff. This is the secret to having absolute chord freedom on the entire fretboard whenever you need it. I highly recommend this kind of exercise. It really keeps you awake and gives you the maximum flexibility and power and freedom on the fretboard. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.